Okay, yeah, just give us a shout if you need it.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Radio.co demo and Q&A with me, Phil. I'll be getting underway in just a moment or two. But yeah, so get comfortable, get a drink or whatnot, get your notepads ready if you have any questions. And yeah, thanks for joining me, and we'll get underway in just a moment. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are, thank you very much for joining me today. I tell you what, I did say get a drink, but I then started immediately quickly. So if I didn't give you time to relax. But thank you very much for joining me. My name is Phil from Radio.co, and this is the Radio.co demo. It's something I like to do usually every month. We had a break over the festive period that we've had. I hope you all had a great one. You're still all staying safe. In this, I'm going to be doing a usual demo through the platform just to show you how Radio.co works and give you a lot of good guidance on how you can very easily launch your own online radio station. But what I'll be doing afterwards, that is, as well as answering a few questions that have been sent in to me beforehand and ones that you're asking live, I'm going to be talking a little bit about equipment you may want to invest in or think about getting for launching your station, and also some tips on listeners and where you can make your station available, just to really aid in the process of getting listeners and a fan base, really. So I'll be doing a demo, talking through equipment and listeners, and then I'll be going through some questions. I'll start off by doing some questions that have been sent in already. So thank you very much for sending those in to me ahead of time. But I'll have a bit of time, I should have a bit of time anyway, to cover some questions that you have right now. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask about launching your own online radio station, it can be about the Radio.co platform, it can be about equipment, listeners, or anything to do with how you want to get your own online radio station up and running. So if you do have questions, wherever it is where you're watching it, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, just write the question in the box, and Ben, backstage Ben, he's known to his friends and family, he's going to feed through the questions that you've sent in, and I will go through as many as the time limit allows me to. So without further ado, I'm going to jump onto the Radio.co platform. Let me just get my screen up and running. There we go. Thank you very much, Ben. So what you should be able to see here is the Radio.co platform. So I'm just going to jump on here, and my face is going to go away because you don't want to see that. It's distracting. Thanks, Ben. So what you should be able to see here is the Radio.co dashboard. And to get to this place, very, very straightforward. Just go to our website, Radio.co, go to our pricing page, and you'll see a series of subscription plans that we have. We have 5 in total. Each of them give you all the essential tools needed for broadcasting. Even our cheapest one gives you all the basics. But where they differ is things like how many allowances they may have, like storage space, or how many DJs you can invite onto the account. And they also may have some exclusive features or some inclusive add-ons like mobile apps, which I'll go into a little bit detail later. Once you've chosen which plan you like, there's a button that says Start Trial. Activate your free 7-day trial, and literally within 2 or 3 minutes of clicking that button, you will be here. You'll be logged in with your Radio.co account ready to go. So what is it you're looking at? Well, your dashboard is basically showing you what your station is doing at this moment in time. So the first thing to draw your attention to is here, the Radio.co on-air indicator. So as you can see, my station says on air, and when you create your station, it will obviously say off air because you've not turned it on. Once you've uploaded some content, turn your station on air, and as long as it displays that, you know, rest assured, your station is broadcasting globally and 24/7. Because the first thing to know about the platform, if you are new to Radio.co, is that it is entirely cloud-based. So what that means for you is, well, you don't need to download or install anything, first of all. But it also means that we're actually powering it for you. It's being powered by our own cloud servers. So for you, you don't need to keep that computer on 24/7 just to keep your station on air. No, no, no. We do that for you. So you can turn your station off. You can pull the internet cable out the walls. You can cancel your provider and say you don't want internet anymore, and your station is still broadcasting. At the bar at the top here, where it says connection status, that refers to the connection of you as a host or any other host that you may be doing a show, because you can go live with Radio.co and broadcast throughout the world live, right from from anywhere in the world. But in order to go live, you need to connect to the server. So I'm not doing a live show at the moment. I mean, I'm doing a live stream, but I'm not doing a live show on my station. And because of that, it says not connected. Now, if I was to do a live radio show, it would need to say connected or live, something along those lines. And to do that, there is actually a little extra piece of software here called a broadcaster, or an encoder is another name for it. And what it does essentially is it takes all the instructions that you've given it to broadcasting live, and it broadcasts it out on air. And what I mean by that is you decide and determine who is broadcasting live and what equipment they're using to broadcast live. So if it's you, you log in with your details and you choose what you're using. So in my case, I have a microphone into a mixing desk. It could be a headset you have on. It could just be the microphone on your laptop that you want to use. All you do is you tell it what you're using and who's going live, and they will broadcast out on air. Simple as that. This information here, where I said listeners, bandwidth, and storage, as a reminder, that determines what specific plan you have. So whichever subscription tier you go for, you will have a specific amount available to you. And if you're ever looking like you're going to be running out of any of these, you can upgrade and downgrade your plan anytime you like. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to do when you create your account is obviously begin playing some content. So you want to upload some content. So to do that, go to the media tab here on the left. And across the top, you'll see this red button that says Add Media. If I click on that, I can select files that are saved onto my computer and upload them. And you can upload anything you like. It could be music, it could be interviews or podcasts, it could be jingles, production, drops, adverts, whatever it is you want to play on your station, upload it. All we ask is that it's either MP3 or AAC. They are the only two file formats that we are compatible with. So as long as what you want to upload is MP3 or AAC, you can broadcast them on your station. And when you have uploaded them, they'll all appear in a long list like this. One thing to note as well, we actually have two ways of uploading. We have our browser, which is this. If you want to upload files that are larger than 200 megabytes, so say you've got a podcast or a group of podcasts you want to upload, you will want to upload content. You will want to upload that content alternatively through a process called FTP. If you're not familiar with it, it stands for File Transfer Protocol. And it's basically, I like to describe it as an aggressive way of uploading because it lets you upload large files and multiple files very quickly and very easily. So for large files that you may have, or if you have a catalog of 1,000 tracks at least that you'd like to upload, FTP will upload them a lot quicker. Anyway, when you have uploaded, they'll all appear like this. And you'll see that a lot of these tracks have got these brightly colored labels attached to them. And what they are is they are called tags. First and foremost, tags are a great way of organizing your content. So if you are uploading lots of music with lots of different genres, like I've got dance here, I've got heavy metal, R&B, quite the eclectic collection there. You can create a tag so it helps you categorize everything, so you can keep everything nicely separated. You can do the same with talk content, like adverts or podcasts. Whatever it is that you upload, you can create a tag for it because you can type in literally anything you like. So if I was to highlight these 3 tracks here, say for example, these were jazz tracks, I could type in something like jazz or jazz from the 70s or jazz from New Orleans, something like that. You can type in literally anything you want, even a random series of letters there. Click on add, and what it would do is it will create that label and attach it to those tracks, just like that. So like I said, type in anything you want because it's there to help you. And when you have created these tags, it essentially creates a folder. So if I go to the tags option here on the left, you will see a list of all the tags you've made and how many tracks associated with each one, like so. So you can use these for categorizing, but you can also use them to build your playlists. And I'll go into a bit more detail on that a little bit later. Now, if you subscribe to at least our bronze plan, you will have access to most of our advanced tools, including the ability to record your live broadcasts. So, when you're doing a live show, whether it's music or a talk show, you can actually schedule it to record. So, whilst you're broadcasting on air, it's simultaneously recording it for you. So, what that means for you is you can come off air and then immediately have an MP3 file of that show you've just done. This file can then be downloaded onto your computer just to personally archive it. You could upload it somewhere, such as our sister company, podcast.co. If you have an account with both of those, radio and podcast.co, you can actually upload it straight there without having to visit that site. Like say, just choose the podcast and the episode, fill in the information, and it'll upload. And if it's a music show, why not upload it directly to Mixcloud? And again, you don't need to go to Mixcloud to do it. You can do it directly through Radio.co. So it's a way of making your content available on demand more or less as soon as you come off air. Alternatively, you can just place it into a playlist and repeat it at a later date. And I'll go into more detail about that as I go through it. Another feature you'll have access to is our voice tracking. Voice tracking is basically a quick and easy way of recording content directly into Radio.co without having to record it elsewhere. You can only record up to a maximum of 10 minutes, but within that 10-minute period, you can record introductions to your tracks. You could do a quick interview. You could read from something. You could record an advert. It's basically a portable cloud-based recording tool you have access to wherever you have internet and your laptop. A couple of other features we have relays. This gives you the ability to broadcast a live feed from another online radio station. Great if you have multiple stations and you would like to play on occasion the same show on all those stations. Or you just have a friend or a colleague who has a station and you'd like to share some of that content. We have a news bulletin builder in at least our silver plan. This lets you broadcast automated top of hour news. So if you would like to play news on your station, there's a fantastic automated way of doing that. Give it that real professional local radio sound. And then we have a tool called talk shows. You can do talk shows on all of our plans. This is just essentially a way of creating a remote cloud-based studio where you and up to 3 guests from all over the world can connect remotely and record a podcast, an interview, a discussion. And as long as it's up to 60 minutes long, you can record it, store it, and play it on air. Okay, so that's a couple of features. I'm now going to go into the basics of building and scheduling a show. So you've uploaded your content and now you would like to broadcast it. And the way you do it is, first of all, is building a playlist. Now, any show that you want to broadcast that is not live is to be a playlist. You can see I have a few playlists here. I have a breakfast show, I have a podcast show, an R&B show. Now, I also have a playlist called Default. And when you create your Radio.co account, you will find this playlist as well. Now, the reason we give you this default playlist is because we've built it to do a couple of important jobs. First of all, it is your fail-safe by default. So what that means is in the event of any technical emergencies, your default playlist will automatically fade in and take over. But the main job it does is it automatically fills in any gap in your playlist. So what that means for you is just to have this 24-hour station, you don't actually need to create and schedule 24 hours of content every single day. Now, you don't need to do that. You could create this default playlist, fill as much content in that playlist as you like, and it will automatically fill it and loop in anytime there is a gap. It's kind of like our secret weapon in a way. It's a surefire, nice, easy way of instantly having this 24-hour station. I'll show you how that looks in a moment, but I'm going to build a playlist first of all. So if I come to the top here, I'm going to do a show tomorrow afternoon. So I'll go Phil's Friday Feeling. See what I did in there with the PH, the alliteration there. Phil's Friday Feeling. I'm going to give it a color, give it my favorite color. Nice blue there. Click on the add button. And when I click on add, it takes me to my playlist builder. So I can see the name of my show here. So Phil's Friday Feeling. I know the duration of my show here, which is 0, because obviously I've not added any tracks to my playlist. Now, to correct that, as soon as you open up your playlist builder, it will immediately open up on the tracks tab, which shows you all the tracks you have uploaded. You can work your way down this list. you can click on each number. So, it will always represent every track you've uploaded. So even if you've got thousands like me, there's lots of pages there. And you can always search for your tracks as well. But whatever you want to play, click on the plus button. And you can see as soon as I do, it's jumping straight across into my playlist. So with every track I add, it's adding up the duration as well. So you know exactly how long this particular show is going to be. You know what tracks are going to play. You know what order they're going to play in. You can move the tracks around if you do want to change the order, like so. There we go, nice and easy. Building the playlist is so quick and efficient to do. It's a case of literally telling the software what you'd like it to play. Determine the order of it. It knows exactly how long this playlist is. Don't want a track? Click on the cross button and get rid of it. Replace it with something else. Whether it's music, jingles, ads, talk content, whatever it is, just move it across and it will get ready to play. Also, as well, the software will abide by a default crossfade. So what that means is all of these tracks will fade in and fade out of each other automatically. You can set how long that fading in period lasts, between 10 seconds, or you can get rid of it if you want to. But yeah, all of these tracks, they will nicely fade in and fade out of each other anyway. Now, you could click on save and be pretty happy with this playlist. You know how long it is, you know what's playing, you know what order everything's playing in. But there are other ways you can build your playlist and other content you can add to it. First of all, random tracks. If you'd like to play a random track, you can by clicking on the Tags tab. Now, as I mentioned before, tags can be used to build your playlist, and this is a perfect way of doing it. If you've spent a lot of time tagging your tracks, so say I've got 200 tracks tagged as 90s, I can take this tag, move it across into my playlist. I'll take this chilled tag as well. And what the software will do is when it gets to this tag in the running order, it will play a random track associated with that tag. Nice and simple like that. It will play random tracks. And the software will also know how many tracks have played before, or rather, which tracks have played before. So if I had 100 tracks tagged as 90s, it will play a random one out of that 100. And the software will play all 100 of those tracks once before any repeat for a second time. So even if I put the same tag in multiple times in a row, as long as I've got at least this many tracks in that tag, each time it's going to be different, guaranteed. And now other things you can add into your playlist are your recordings. So again, if you've spent time doing a live broadcast and recording it, if you want to repeat it, take that file, simply move it across, just like that. We've also got voice tracks here. So if I click on voice tracks, as I say, this lets you record vocal content up to 10 minutes in length. And to do that, there's a little microphone button here at the top. And if I click on that, it opens up this option here. If I click on this red microphone, confirm what device I'm using. So again, my microphone into my audio interface desk here. And if I'm happy with that, I can click on this a second time and it starts counting backwards from 10 minutes and my levels are going up and down. So you know that it's capturing everything that I'm going to say. And, as I said, you can use this to record ad reads, introductions, interviews. It will basically record everything that is coming through this piece of equipment. So if I did have a music source or a phone line plugged into my desk, it'll capture it. When you're happy with it, click on stop. You can then listen back to it to make sure everything sounds okay. You can delete it if you want to, and you need to give it a name if you want to keep it. So I'll call this one Friday Intro. Click on Create, and it will then save it. It will place it at the bottom of your playlist by default, but you can move it around, just like so. There we go. And, you can record as many of these as you like, move them around. And the idea of them, it just gives off the impression that your show, which could have just been back-to-back music, actually has a live host behind it. So it's a great way of very quickly and very easily bringing a presence to the platform. So I'm pretty happy with my playlist. I'm happy with what order tracks are playing in, what's playing, the length of the playlist. So let's save it and actually schedule it. So click on save. Now we're ready to rock. So I'm going to click on schedule, and scheduling is really, really simple. It's basically a calendar. So what you can see here is, days of the week on the top, times down the side. As I scroll through my schedule, you see what it looks like. I have one live show every morning, 9 till 12, and another live show every evening, 6 till 9. Now, if you remember, I said that default playlist will play every time there is a gap in the schedule. And this just so happens to be the case every single afternoon. 12 till 6, it's completely blank. However, my station is still on air and content will still be playing because, as I say, anytime there is a gap, that default playlist takes over. Even when this live show is coming to an end, the software knows nothing's coming up next. So even though it doesn't look like it, that's a 24-hour station because I have that default playlist and content in there that I wanted to play. Some people, believe it or not, leave their schedules blank 24/7 and they just update that one playlist every week or every few days. You can do the same. Or what you can do is schedule shows at specific times or shows at every time. It's up to you. To schedule a show, all you do is you click on the time you want it to start and drag it to the time you want it to finish. So in this case, I'll do it Friday, which is here, and I'm going to do 1 till 5. So I go 1, drag it all the way down to 5, just like so. When I let go of the mouse, I just need to confirm the details, such as when does it start, when does it finish. So yeah, 1 till 5, perfect, that's what I wanted. I've got it scheduled just for Friday at the moment, but I can actually select any other day of the week and it will schedule it for those days as well. So if I click on Saturday, it'll do it 1 till 5 on Saturday, on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, or every day, like so. If I knew this show was going to be on air at the same time, at the same day for multiple weeks in a row, maybe multiple months or even years in the future, I can repeat it and schedule it up until a certain date. So if I click on week, it will repeat every week up until whichever date I select here. So I can select, come on, let's do the 20th of January next year. And I can even go a bit more mad than that. I can actually schedule it to the year after. So I can schedule 2 years in advance if I wanted to. But this just means I'm going to schedule the show 1 till 5 every day, every week, up until whichever date here, which is, 12 months down the line. Now, what I need to do now is click on the Advanced tab, and this is where I confirm what type of show this is going to be. So if I click on Playlist, as the name suggests, it means I want to play a playlist on air. And I just need to select what that playlist is actually going to be. And I choose that from here at the top where it does say Playlist. If I click on here, you'll see all the playlists I've created. So Phil's Friday Feeling, that's the one I want. So if I click on that, this just means I'm going to play this specific playlist at this specific time on these days for this amount of time in the future. And if I'm happy with all those decisions, I can click on Create Event, give it a couple of seconds, and it's ready to go. Now you can see 1 till 5, Phil's Friday Feeling is playing tomorrow as intended, and oddly, every day, every week for the next 12 months. This will automatically fade in at 1 o'clock, and it'll automatically fade out at 5. Just like that. You don't need to have your computer on. You don't need an internet connection. You don't need to fire anything off. Don't need to do any of that. All you need to do is tell the software what you want it to do in advance, and it'll do it for you. Because again, it's us that are powering it for you. And that's all that's involved in doing something that's pre-recorded and automated. Just upload your content, build a playlist, tell the software what time you want it to play, and it'll do it. Now, if you want to do a live broadcast, it's done in a very similar way. All you do is you click on the event, and where it says event type, you instead click live DJ. Now, similar to selecting a playlist, you need to select a specific host that you want to do this show because you can invite people onto your account. You may want to run the station on your own, but do know that all of our subscriptions allow you to invite a certain number of people to your account. And with that access, they can broadcast live remotely, they can help you manage the station, they can help you out. And when you do invite people onto the account, they will all appear here. And these will all be a viable option to host a live show. So I will select myself for this show here. So this means that me, Phil, I'm going to host this live show, nobody else. If Ben, Backstage Ben, tries to do a live show, he can't because he's not me. I would like to record the broadcast. If I click on, that means I'm going to record it and maybe repeat it at a later date. And if I'm happy with it, I'm going to click on Update Event, and it's going to update all the events that I've made already. And you can do that. So even if you wanted to change the playlist that was playing, the days of the week it's on, the DJ that's on air, if I was doing a live show and you hated what I was doing, you could replace me mid-show with someone else. It'd be quite shocking for me, but it'll be better for you if it's for the integrity of your station. You can do anything you want when you're the owner of your own online radio station. But what you can see now is 1 till 5 live DJ Phil. As I say, that means I'm the only one who is allowed to go live, and I will fade in at 1, fade out at 5. Permitted, of course, I've connected to the stream as I hinted at earlier. Once I have, I will fade in at 1, fade out at 5, just like that. I will also have a backup playlist facility. So, in the event of a technical emergency, such as there's a power cut, my internet goes, and I'm therefore thrown off air, the software will detect that there's been a loss of connection, and this backup playlist will automatically fade in. And you can select any playlist to do that job. Whichever you choose here, when you have selected Live DJ, will be your backup playlist. You also know recording has been enabled, so you know that whilst you're broadcasting, there's going to be a file at the end of it to show for it. And that's all that's involved in scheduling a live broadcast. Similar to a playlist, it's just a case of telling the software who you want to go live and at what time. And as long as that person does get connected and at that specific time, they will go live, just like that. That's everything involved in programming. Like I said, it is just a cloud-based calendar where it's waiting for you to tell it what you want it to do. And, as long as we're rolling, your station is on air 24/7 and all over the world. Of course, you would ideally want people to listen to your station. So in order to do that, click on the Listen tab here on the left. First of all, what you'll see is a listen link for your station. This is automatically given to you when you create your account, and it's basically a URL that when clicked on, it opens up a browser tab on someone's computer or their smartphone. It's probably not the most attractive way of people listening because, well, it's an uncustomizable link. It's a little bit ugly, and when it opens up, it's just a black screen with a play button. There's nothing to look at. But it's a very easy way of people listening, and you can share this on social media very, very easily. You can alternatively use this URL in a number of internet radio directories, like Streamer, for example. And they're places on the internet that you can submit your station to. Kind of, think of it like Spotify, but for radio stations. There's thousands and thousands of stations on there, and you can direct people to one of those to listen to your station instead. Of course, if you have your own website or you plan to have a website in the future, you can scrap this and instead build a web player, which will look something along the lines of this. This can display artwork for what you're playing, branding for what you're playing, obviously track information here. It comes in a variety of different sizes, different styles, but ultimately this is something more visually appealing for your audience. So it's more beneficial to have your own website and direct people there perhaps. I've got a bit more information about websites a little bit later on. But to create it, all you do is click on the Add Player button, and it just asks you what size you want it, what color scheme. Do you want artwork or no artwork? And, once you've created it in about 30 seconds, click on Copy Embed Code, paste that onto your website, and yeah, anytime someone visits your website, they'll see something that looks a little bit like this. Now, there are ways you can expand on this past computers, and that is through a series of mobile apps. So here you can build an iPhone app and an Android app. These are dedicated white labeled mobile apps for your station. And what I mean by white labeled is there's no Radio.co branding on them. There is no other station featured on them. It's yours. You tell us what you want your app to be called, the color scheme, the logos, anything to do with it. It's something that's more personalized to you. And people can go on the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, search for the name of your app. They'll find it, they'll download it, they'll open it, and instantly start listening to your station. Now, these can be added on for an extra fee here, say $15 a month or so. But if you subscribe to one of our higher plans, you will find either one of these or both of these included at no extra cost. Do check the pricing page on our plans. The Gold plan includes Android and Alexa. The Pro plan includes all three of these. And I did mention here the Alexa skill is something you can add on as well, just to add more accessibility. If you've attracted the mobile phone market, why not integrate with smart speakers as well? And if you did want to build a website, you're not too sure how to do it, you can build one through us and we'll give you all the templates, all the widgets, and a bit of support to get it up and running. So that's in terms of listening. And the last few things I will show you, so I have plenty of time to cover any questions, is first of all, statistics. If you want to monitor your station's performance, you can do. We keep all stats and figures for your station for a maximum of 60 days at a time. So what you can see here is over the last 30, you can see how many people have been listening. You can see what countries people are listening from because it's a global station. Anyone who has internet can find it. So we've got quite an eclectic collection of countries here. You can see where they're listening from, what they're using to listen, like what web browsers, what devices. So if you did have a mobile app, you can see how lucrative it was, how popular people find it. We'll also give you the ability to look at real time stats. So if you want to know who's listening right at this very second, you can. Like we have one listener here from Dorset in the UK. It's given the specific town here. You know how they're listening, when they started listening, and even how long they've been listening for. This maniac has been listening for almost 44 hours. He either enjoys it or maybe he's left it on and gone on holiday. If that's the case, you can always kick and ban listeners as well. Settings, this is really for you to have a little investigate yourself, but as a general overview, this is where you will find the name and look for your station that you can change, the broadcasting quality, such as that crossfade I mentioned earlier. How long do you want your tracks to fade in and fade out for? Live anytime is just for the owner of the account. That means if you are the owner, you can go live anytime you like. You don't need to schedule yourself. Streaming quality. A lot of people ask us, what bit rate or what streaming quality level can I broadcast to? Well, we'll actually let you broadcast to 192 kbps as standard. So it's high def sound, really crystal clear, really nice. You can actually broadcast larger than that. We'll let you broadcast up to 320 kbps for really pro studio sound, but only our pro plan will allow you to do that. So you would need to subscribe to our pro plan in order to broadcast at that high. We have security measures called our geoprotection settings. This lets you block certain countries or only permit certain countries from listening to your station. The advanced settings let you adjust things like your separation rules. So if you are playing a lot of tracks at random, how often can the same artist or same album play? So you don't want to be bombarded with too much of the same artists. Integrations, if you have a podcast.co account, this is where you link it, or a Twitter can tweet out information for what you're playing. And even Zapier, that's a great integration that actually lets you upload content via Dropbox and Google Drive. Perfect if you have DJs who like to create their own pre-recorded shows. Why not invite them to upload it to your shared Dropbox or Google Drive and then import it directly to Radio.co that way? And I mentioned before, your billing information can be found here, and this is where you can upgrade and downgrade your account at any time you like. And then the final thing I will show you just before I do talk about some other things is the users. So as I mentioned before, you do have the ability to invite more people to your account. And with that access, people can broadcast live remotely or they can help you manage it. You just need to invite them and assign them a specific role. So you can see Alan here is the owner of this account. So he has access and full reign to do absolutely everything. Other people are not that fortunate. A station manager will actually do the same things as the owner, but they can't see any sensitive billing information. A music controller will allow someone to upload content, build shows, they can go live, they can do voice tracking, but they can't change any settings. And then we have a DJ and we also have a guest DJ access. That will only give someone the ability to broadcast live remotely, and that's it. They can't access any settings, they can't upload content, they can't schedule shows. All they can do is log in, go live, log out. That might be the only user role that you need to assign people. So if you were to give me the ability to be a DJ, you would click on invite a user. You would enter their name. So if it was me, Phil, email address here. You'd give my role, I'll say DJ, click on invite. I would then get an email showing me that I've been invited to join a station. I follow those instructions. I get my own unique login details. And hey, presto, I've got the ability to log into your station from anywhere in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, even as a DJ, I can log into your Radio.co account as my user profile anytime I like. However, I can only go live when I've been scheduled to. I can only go live when the software is expecting me to go live. So don't worry if you do invite someone who's more of a stranger than a friend, like me, a complete stranger. I can only go live when the software is expecting me to. So there is a nice era of security there for you. And there we go, guys. That's kind of the end of the crash course there on the basics of how our platform works and how our platform can help you bring your own online radio station to life. I hope you've been able to see how user-friendly it is. That's what we've strived to do. We've tried to make it as professional and reliable as possible, of course, but the main focus has been making it as easy to get your head around, and so there's really no excuse why you can't get your own online radio station up and running. And getting started literally just takes a couple of minutes. Upload content, build a playlist, or put them in that default playlist. Turn your station on air, and away you go. You've got an instant 24-hour station there, ready to go. So as I said, what I'm going to do now is just discuss a couple of key parts, or rather areas that people are often a little unsure about when it comes to launching your own online radio station. The first one I'm going to cover first is equipment. So people want to know what sort of equipment is best to start out in, or what's a mixing desk, what's the difference between this and that. So I've put together a little idea on what you may want to invest in and what you may want to consider investing in a bit further down the line, and then also some tips on listeners as well. So I'm just going to share the new screens. Here we go. There we go. So hopefully, what you should be able to see now is the screen of my slides, fingers crossed. So as I say, what I'm going to go through these is a couple of different equipment ideas, if the slide does pop up, and so things you may want to. Oh, thanks, Ben. So I'm going to go through a few ideas of this and also do about listeners. And again, if you've got your own questions, keep them coming in. Ben will go through questions and he'll feed them over to me, and I'll answer as many as I can. I've got some to answer first of all, but yeah, any questions that you have right now, put them in the chat boxes and Ben will comb through them and see if there's any for me to answer. Thanks, Backstage Ben. Okay, so equipment. So people always ask me, what's the best equipment to really start off? And well, I always say the honest answer is not a lot, really. For basic startups, you really only want things like a very basic everyday computer. So first of all, a Windows or Mac computer. It really doesn't need to be powerful at all, because, well, for a start, the software is all cloud-based. So because of that, it doesn't require any processing power. Simple as that. So an average everyday Windows and Mac computer, nothing powerful. An internet connection will only be required for accessing the platform and broadcasting live. So, for that, we recommend maybe an upload speed of at least 2 megabytes per second. Not a lot either. A USB-powered microphone, ideally one from a reputable brand. Like I've got a few examples here, like Rode, Blue, Shure. I see a couple of the logos flying around there. And then wired headphones. People like to use Bluetooth. I'm a big advocate for Bluetooth headphones, but I'm also a big advocate for wired headphones when it comes to broadcasting. The reason being is they're better than relying on Bluetooth, as Bluetooth can often cause a bit of a slight off-putting delay. Like you can hear yourself a split second behind, and it can be quite distracting. So having a wired is a much better connection, and should get rid of any delays. Nothing too fancy. Make sure they're just comfortable and they're a reputable brand. Again, my personal favorites are Sony for my everyday, and I've also got some Beyerdynamic ones, which are ones that you'll find in studios a lot. Ones I've got on right now. So that's kind of for basic startups: computer, internet, a microphone if you want to talk. If you don't, then you don't even need that. You're ready to go. Over to advanced things, or rather just additional things you may want. First of all, a USB-powered mixing desk or an audio interface. Both of these are actually technically very similar, more or less the same. A mixing desk will allow you to manage multiple inputs and adjust each one accordingly. Like, you've got a microphone plugged in or multiple microphones, or you may have an audio source like a vinyl record player, or an iPad with Spotify on it plugged into it. So that will let you manage multiple inputs and adjust the levels and the fading in and outs of those. Whilst an audio interface will let you connect fewer inputs and arguably have less control over your levels. There's only really the gain that you can adjust. However, they are made to be lighter, small, and more studio space friendly. So if you're going to be moving around a lot, or you're a bit struggling for space, having an audio interface is probably a smarter option. It's just a lot lighter and a lot smaller, and often not as ugly as these big old mixing desks. But it's up to you what you want to do. It comes down to a personal preference. Of course, if you are using just make sure it's USB powered. If your desk is not USB powered, you can have a bit of a difficult time, in all honesty. If you are using a desk or an interface, you will want an XLR microphone to plug into it. They're ones that require XLR inputs that are found in interfaces and mixing desks. And they arguably produce a much richer sound than a USB microphone, a bit higher quality, and they can have their sound customized through your mixer, so you can actually adjust effectively different, the bass, the treble, the levels, of course, the equalization of everything. If you are researching microphones, you will find a few different options: a dynamic microphone and a condenser microphone. A dynamic microphone tends to concentrate on the broadcaster's voice. In fact, that's what I'm using right now. You may be able to hear a few other noises here and there, but it's concentrating and it's complementing my voice. At least I like to think so. A condenser microphone kind of likes to capture studio and vocal nuances. So it's a bit more, I guess, of a natural sounding microphone rather than a bit more of a processing sounded microphone. They each produce different sounds. They can react differently to your voice. So it's kind of just a case of experimenting and find out which one kind of suits you best. I prefer a dynamic microphone because I've got a bit of a deeper voice. I feel it concentrates better on my voice and produces a much more natural sound for me, at least. And if you're interested, I'm using the Shure SM7B. It's pretty much a studio standard microphone. You might find it all over the place. But if you're interested, yeah, the Shure SM7B, probably pick it up round for about $300 to $400 dollars or so if you are interested. It's a very, 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 very good microphone. What we got here? Preamp. This is really just for dynamic microphones, ideally. It's highly recommended if you are using dynamic microphones. I'm using one now. The reason being is dynamic microphones are quite, what they say, power hungry, and they require a lot of gain to work best, which means there's little give for managing your levels. So if you've got a very high gain, there's really not much wiggle room to make yourself a little bit louder, and a slight little nudge the other way makes you too quiet. So, there's really no leeway to really effectively find the right sound for your voice. What a preamp does is it gives the dynamic power a boost of what we call phantom power. It gives it a bit of power, and in doing so, it reduces the amount of gain needed to work. So imagine the gain dial is 1 through to 10. Before a preamp, my Shure SM7B was probably on about 9.5. With this preamp, it's now down to about 6. And I think if I turn it any louder, it will start popping and being quite difficult to hear. So there's a huge difference. I can go louder and I can go much easier, a lot softer. I personally use one called a FET head. It's completely gone out of my head what the actual brand is called, but the product they made is called the FET head. It cost me, I think, about 50 or 60 euros. I think it cost me. Or there's a more well-known one called a Cloud Lifter, which you may see. It's a bit more expensive, but it's probably more of a more well-known brand. And then we also have things like microphone processors. They're another optional piece of kit designed to primarily improve the richness of your voice by blocking out everything else around it, ideally. So again, if I was in a particular reverby room or a bit of a noisy studio space, a preamp was probably an ideal purchase because it would just try and get rid of all the background noise around me. So that's things for like advanced users, things you may want to upgrade into. None of them, of course, are essential, but they can arguably give you a better setup and a much better sound, and probably an easier way of managing your station, of course, as well. And then bonus kits. These are little things which are good for basics, good for more advanced broadcasters. They are just definitely worth considering having, and I happen to have a few of them. So first of all is a boom arm. Essentially a microphone stand that you don't need to put on the floor. You can just clamp it to your desk or your studio space, or it can even be drilled. It just basically frees up your hands and prevents vibrations and you knocking it over. If you've ever sort of joined me for videos in the past, you may see that I am incredibly handsy. You may be able to see it on the screen here. Very handsy. It's not quite good. So that's kind of why I use this boom arm up here. A pop shield as well. Pop shield is there to catch all the pops and plosives. So any hard P's, things like that. That's what a pop shield does. The idea is it's supposed to catch them. I don't actually have one, but there's a one kind of built into this microphone, and the foam end. I was going to say foam knob. It's probably not the right term. That's will also sort of reduce it a little bit as well. Also a shock mount as well. I don't have a an additional shock mount, but this, if you can see it here, if I just turn my microphone around, there we go, here. That's kind of like a bit like a shock mount. It's more of a stand really for the microphone, but a shock mount might be something that's completely surrounding the microphone. And again, it just helps with reducing vibrations and any, like knocking it and things. Ideally, it's not what you want. So that's a shock mount, something as well. And then foam tiles. I'm currently broadcasting in my my living room. It's a bit more comfortable at the end of the day. But every day when I am broadcasting or podcasting, I'm upstairs in my office space, which is quite reverby. It's got a big window behind me, and it's a bit of a busy street. Having a few foam tiles just means it's bouncing the sound around the room a little bit to make it sound a bit more studio-y. Even a word, studio-like. Now, you don't need to cake an entire wall with these foam tiles. The idea is you just put a little mosaic of each one kind of scattered around so the sound can literally bounce around the room like that. You don't want to completely deaden the sound in there. Foam tiles, they can be picked up very cheaply from things like Amazon or warehouses. Maybe you might just find some lying around. But yeah, just get a few, scatter them around, a dozen maybe. I'll probably sort you out all right. So that's equipment. I hope that's kind of been helpful in terms of equipment. Like I said, it's one of the most daunting things people ask about is, what on earth do I need? Do I need to spend a fortune? You need to spend a fair amount of money to get started. Not an incredible amount, but if your only budget allows you to have the internet connection you have and a computer that you've got right now, then that's all you need really to get started. And then the other thing I wanted to cover is listeners. Not so much the best way of getting listeners or so. We're going to be doing a webinar about that at a later date. But what I'm talking about here is just ways that you can help find listeners, or rather where people can find you, ideally. So I mentioned a couple of these throughout. I'm just going to expand on them a little bit. So first of all, we have, having your own personal website. And having your own personal website means you have your own personal domain name more than anything. And you can direct people to that. So instead of using like our streaming link, which, a third-party link that's got Radio.co built into the link, it's not that attractive. If you had a station called Phil FM, you can direct people to www.philfm.com. It's your branding. So it's much better to direct people to something that you specifically own or something that features your station name. It also allows you to obviously feature content on your website that is more than just a player for your station. So you can have things like competitions, message boards, links to other things like you may have a YouTube channel or you may be on TikTok or something like that. It's a way of just not only making it about your station, but also making it about you and your brand at the end of the day. This also, of course, leads to the chance to potentially create advertising for local businesses because you can feature logos and photos and affiliate links for businesses. So it may be something that businesses look for if you have a radio station, but also other outlets like websites. And if website building isn't for anyone, it's not for me. I've never built a website in my life, but you can build one through us, through our website builder, as I mentioned before. It is an extra monthly charge, but if you are a bit concerned about putting your own website together, then, we'll give you a package that kind of allows you to build one easily. A case of dragging this here, type this here, and Bob's your uncle, ready to go. The next thing as well is our bespoke apps. These are easily the best and most efficient way you can make your station far more accessible across the board, really, just due to the ease of simply opening up an app and instantly streaming your station. The picture at the top actually is a quick little cheeky glimpse of our new apps. We've got some new apps coming out in the coming months, hopefully by March. We're hoping March or April time. We're hoping to have them March ideally, but we'll have more details on that in the coming weeks. I've deliberately made it a bit too small for you to really analyze to keep a bit of a teaser going. Hey, Ben, put it away. You're spoiling the surprise for everybody. But yeah, that's it's just basically to give you a little idea on what our new apps are going to be like. So you'll be able to do things like embed an RSS feed for your podcasts on there, push messaging, all really cool things. You'll find more information about that in the coming weeks, as I say, so watch that space. Anyway, back to apps in general. It's a more lucrative call to action. And what a call to action is, it's a request you make to people on air, such as visit our website or leave us a review, something like that. And results have shown that people respond much quicker to a request of downloading an app more than absolutely anything, because the likelihood is they're listening whilst also on their phones. Not necessarily listening to your station on their phone, but they're on their phone listening to you. So being glued to, our phones means if there's more use for it, we're likely to divulge in it. So if, having an app ready to open up as and when we're ready is more appealing than just visiting a website or something like that. So it's kind of like human nature for us just now anyway, to just open up an app because it's what we're more used to. And like your website, there is an opportunity to feature a company's branding on your mobile apps, which could be the difference between you getting like an advertising contract or not. With Radio.co, you could attach a piece of company branding onto a particular playlist or a show and have that visible through the entire duration of your program. So at the moment, there's no way to actually embed a piece of advertisers' artwork on your apps, but you could instead attach it to a specific show and have that visible throughout. So it's a nice little workaround there for you. Internet radio directories. These are websites and apps that feature online radio stations from all over the world. They're often free to sign up for, and most of them are very easy to submit to, like almost instantly. All you really need is the URL listen link that I showed you before. Use that, create a profile on there, and you can expand the reach of your station quite quickly to increase your online presence, just because, a lot of people do use them. Hundreds and thousands of people use these services. So they see huge amounts of traffic. Some more notable ones, I've got a logo for their Streamer, Radio Garden, and Live Radio, to name a few. We've got a list of about 35, at least anyway, on our website. So if you just go on to help.radio.co, type in internet radio directories, you'll find a big list of some recommendations and also how to submit to them. Not all directories, of course, are as popular as others, so you may want to pick and choose which ones you want to use. But it doesn't do any harm appearing on them all, and there's no need to also promote every directory your station can be found on. So you don't need to drown your audience in lots of links. Pick a few that you're happy with, or pick one and direct people exclusively to that maybe. It can't hurt to be on them all. And then the last little thing to touch on is social media. It's ideally really as an alternative to having your own website, as just having an active social media page like a Facebook page can be more lucrative, as it's far easier and quicker to set up and manage. So instead of having your own personal website and you're constantly updating that and managing it and putting content on there, a Facebook page is more or less a website. You can put your branding on there. You can put things about you. You can put your stream on there. So and it's free to set up and it's quick and easy to do. So a Facebook page can often be a lot more beneficial than having a website. As well, it encourages your audience and followers to interact with you and each other. So and by doing so, the hope is that they will share your content and help increase your online profile. At the end of the day, that's what makes your station stand out. What's your online visibility like? If people are sharing your content and making people aware of it that didn't know it existed before then that's arguably more listeners coming in. Most people have direct access as well, similar to the mobile apps. Most people have direct access to Facebook, Twitter, and these days, especially TikTok. If you're unfamiliar with what that black circle with a thing on it is, I forget, a note, I guess. That's TikTok. Couldn't tell you at all what it does or how you do it, but TikTok is popular. All the kids raving about it. And a lot of broadcasters are actually turning to it to do short form audio content. You can do a little video promoting your station. If you're playing one of your tracks or you're doing a DJ set, dance along to it. It's a way of creating viral short content to direct people to your station. So, ultimately, if you are not familiar with how social media works, things like you're not too sure how to best use Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, some others. I'm not a social media person really at all, but I can't deny how beneficial it is to promoting your audio brand. So if you're not sure how anything works, go and find out how it works. I should really take my own advice and find out what TikTok's all about, and I'm sure I will. So find out what it's all about and learn how to best use it. Ask people how to best use it, because it will be a very, very good companion for you. Well, there we go. Well, I hope that's been helpful as well, finding out a bit more about ways you can begin promoting your station online and also a bit of equipment. I'm going to be doing a bit more of an expansion on the listeners and the marketing side. The plan is next month. Next month, me and Lucy from our content team, we're going to try and get together now that I believe we're allowed back in the office now. So working from home is coming to a slight end a little bit. So because of that, we're going to celebrate and do a webinar together, talking about promotional techniques. Ways that effective ways you can promote your station, ways you can capture your audiences, do's and don'ts of basically promoting your station. So watch this space. That's the plan to do it next month. Is a webinar all about that. And before then, of course, I have questions to cover. So these are some questions that were asked beforehand, and don't worry, I have gone over. Well, it's looking like I'm going to go over time, but I will make time to answer other questions that you've asked as well. I'll blitz through these as quick as possible. So these are ones that were asked beforehand. Who we got? But Keith, what's the best way to promote your station through social media? Kind of relating to what I just mentioned then. Social media, the key is to post as frequently and as consistently as you can, as by having an active social media presence, as I said, increases your online visibility. Content-wise, you want to keep it short, sweet, and interactive. So it needs to be short enough to be easily read when you're scrolling, because it's all we do. You need it to capture immediately. And it's got to be something that invites people to get involved, whether that is just simply liking the post, commenting, or sharing, ideally. Sharing album work, opinions, and memes, of course, are a surefire way of increasing the interaction for your audience. So, yeah, do that. And as I say, we'll divulge in a bit more of this next month. So I hope that's kind of giving you a bit of a head start, Keith, but we're going to go into more detail about actually, good examples of content that you can do going forward. Charles, why and how do people broadcast radio stations through YouTube? Good question. One that I've not been asked before. YouTube is obviously one of the most used and visited media platforms in the world. And because of this, people like to capitalize on it, even though radio isn't really the right medium for it, arguably. If you're interested in showing people what you look like, or just find that your audience's attention span may last longer watching a video rather than, listening to your radio, it can be a good option for you. Just be aware that you should avoid playing music or copyrighted material on your station if you plan on broadcasting to both YouTube and Facebook Live. They have copyright detection built into their platforms, and they will mute and remove your feed without warning. As for how it's possible, using something like OBS or StreamYard is what we're using right now. That will be a good thing to do. So StreamYard is what we're using now. Very simple to set up, I believe. Never set it up before, but I'm sure Ben will agree it's fine. And things like OBS as well is a good way of routing that through. And again, if you go to our website, Radio.co, go to our blog, type in Facebook, and there is actually a post about how to use OBS alongside Radio.co to set it up for broadcasting to YouTube. So why they do it, Charles? Well, it's because it opens up a new, potentially a new audience stream, and how they do it through an additional piece of software alongside Radio.co. Who we got next? Rajas has asked, or Rajas, sorry. What sort of computer can I use for radio? I have a Chromebook. As I mentioned before, an everyday Windows and Mac computer will do. It doesn't have to be super powerful. Just make sure, I guess, it boots up at a decent speed, and it's got plenty of USB ports for any equipment you may want to use. Excuse me. Now, you have a Chromebook, then if you have a Chromebook, it shouldn't be a problem actually using the software, because a lot of our tools are built off Chrome anyway. But if you plan to broadcast live, then be aware there aren't really any encoders or broadcasters available for Chrome operating system, at least as far as we're aware. So if you plan to go live, you may struggle to use the Chromebook. There may not be any options for you. There may be some in development, but I'm not aware of any at the moment. So I would say if you were wanting to broadcast live, invest in just a cheap Windows or Mac computer. Macs aren't cheap. Invest in a cheap Windows laptop. Should be absolutely fine. But of course, if you don't plan to go live, you should be fine with your Chromebook. Emily, what's a good budget for a microphone? I always say about 100 quid, $100 or so is a good budget to keep in mind when purchasing your microphone. As for that amount, you're kind of getting a really good, decent microphone from a reputable brand. Even if it's on the cheaper end of a reputable brand, it's still a really good decision to make. So it can be quite an investment if you're starting your station off. You're spending a lot of money getting everything else, and you're then going to spend $100 on a microphone. But I would say that's a good marker to go for. You can get microphones that are cheaper, and some of them have tons of reviews on things like Amazon, but kind of take a lot of those with a pinch of salt, really. go for a reputable brand that people recommend, like us. There was a few examples there: Rode, Behringer, Blue, Shure, Audio Technica, things like that. They're a really good, reputable brand. And if you want to get some really good opinions of good equipment, not just microphones, kind of just good radio equipment, good demonstrations, and good reviews. Basically, there's a YouTube channel I used to watch a lot before I bought my microphone, and it's called Podcastage. It's on YouTube. Look for Podcastage. Really good reviews of a lot of microphones and a lot of equipment and all sorts. And also on our website, Radio.co, and our YouTube channel, we have lots of videos of some reviews as well of kit. Francis, are there any laws I need to know about before launching a station? Good question. Funnily enough, not a lot of people ask it. So some of you are a bit risky, but not really. I kind of like to describe the online radio landscape as a bit like the Wild West. You're essentially allowed to broadcast what you like, whenever you want, really, within reason, of course. Like us, Radio.co, we have certain terms that we want you to follow in terms of what you can and can't do. But generally speaking, you're free to pretty much do everything you like. So feel free to swear as much as you like, because people like the FCC or Ofcom aren't going to come down on you. You're pretty much allowed to do what you like in that sense. That being said, if you do plan to play copyrighted material, then a broadcast license is always recommended. It's a fee paid out to essentially give you the legal green light to play whatever you like. Different licensing providers have different regulations and obviously costs, so always check with your organizations based in the country you're broadcasting from, just for the most accurate information, really. And then last question, Finn. Do you plan to do any webinars that are for seasoned broadcasters? Absolutely. We do have a few in mind that we would like to do. Notably, I mentioned we're going to do one about audience and promotion, things like that in the future, in the coming months. But kind of the reason why we've done a lot of ones like this, for beginners, is because, over the last 2 years, we have seen a huge increase in aspiring broadcasters kind of really looking to find ways of creating their own stations. So we've wanted to be there to kind of help and cater them for them, whether it's just promoting their local businesses or their music. We've kind of been there just to help people in these rather difficult times when we are stuck at home with not much to do. We want to be there just to help you bring these crazy radio dreams that you have to life. We've done a few alternative webinars in the past, like the evolution of local radio, how that's changed over the last sort of decade or two. We did one about equipment, specifically about equipment. We did one about FM radio, about how to use FM radio online. So we plan on doing a few more, like I said, with this marketing and audience one next month. But if anyone watching, listening right now, if you have any ideas of things that you would like us to cover, whether you are coming to Radio.co as a complete beginner or a seasoned veteran broadcaster, if you have any ideas of what you would like us to cover, any topics, then please let us know. Just go to studio@radio.co, send me an email of any ideas you would like, and and we'll see if there's anything that we can do, any ideas we can put together, and watch this space. If there's things you want us to cover, we'll do what we can to help you begin broadcasting or continue broadcasting. We'll still do our webinars for beginners, but as I say, always happy to cater those who have already launched with us already. There we go. I've got to wet my whistle a little bit before I crack on with these last questions. So again, thank you very much to everyone there that's asked a question beforehand. It really great knowing that people are anticipating these webinars, so it's good to actually know that there's potentially people waiting to hear their answers. I'm sorry it's taken an hour for you to hear the answer to your questions. Likewise, for those who have been asking their questions right now, Ben has forwarded me some questions, so we need to go through with them. Let's have a look what we've got. Let's have a look at a question here. Bad Radio, can we download tracks from our library? I've uploaded some tracks I no longer have on my computer. Yes, you can, Mr. Bad Radio. What you can do is you can use FTP. So FTP, as mentioned before, is an alternative way of uploading content. You can also do it in reverse. So you can take tracks that you've uploaded to your Radio.co account and take them off the server in that sense. So so that's kind of what you can do there. So use FTP to upload, but also to take content off. So yes, you should be able to. I hope that's answered your question. and you're able to fill your library with all those tracks you've since deleted. Um, let's have a look. The Bootleggers Music Group. Phil, I would like to ask about finding new artists to feature their music on the station. Uh, Great incentive. A lot of people are, especially now, looking to communities to raise spirits and promote brands and musicians. We don't have like a forum, I'll say, that you could go to find to connect necessarily with music artists. We do have a Facebook page, like a Facebook group for broadcasters that you can find, and that's for people who are currently broadcasting with us. And it's a way of them sharing knowledge and experience and advice. There may be people on there that can put you in contact with people. But I guess if anyone's watching now and you've got some music, I'm not too sure exactly what sort of music you are looking for, but if anyone's got any ideas of where to find new upcoming artists that wouldn't mind a bit of radio play, then yeah, there's a particular gang of guys there looking for a little bit of help. Kimberly, what's the best brand of equipment to use? Like I said, I've gone through a few. I always go for, I mean, my microphone, I would always say Shure is a really good microphone here that I'm using right now. Rode, we have a great relationship with Rode. We've reviewed a lot of their equipment, and all of it is absolutely fantastic. Like microphones, they have the Rodecaster Pro, their mixing desk, which is a great piece of kit. My audio interface is from Behringer. I've used things like Aston. There's just a lot of equipment from really good brands. Rode is probably the one that we've more well known with. But as I say, go to that YouTube channel, Podcastage. Great place to find lots of equipment you've probably never heard of, brands you've never heard of, but they happen to sound really good. And, they're all right on the wallet. So, yeah, I'd go to Podcastage or our website to find out a bit more information about brands in particular. Hi, Phil. How is it some internet stations play real commercials like McDonald's or State Farm? Um, I mean, you'd like to think it's because they've struck a deal, but they could also just be taking other ads and playing them. I don't know. I would honestly say it's because I would hope that they've secured advertising deals with these people. I mean, quite lucrative ones by the sounds of it. But unfortunately, I cannot help you there, Jamal. You'd have to find out yourself. Sorry. Um, let's have a look here. Some other questions. Brian, I use your app. Is there a way to monetize it with ads like others? Yes, I mean, like I said, that there is a workaround. Like you could strike a deal with, get an advertising deal with some businesses, use their artwork on your apps. That's a way of doing it. That's the only way you can do it with our apps currently. So that's kind of a workaround here. So I hope that's kind of giving you a bit of food for thought there. Let's have a look. Can you schedule a show to broadcast in a particular time zone? This is from Jim. You can only schedule your shows in one time zone, and that's the time zone that you set for your station. So, it's not possible to schedule a show to go out at 9 a.m. UK time, but also 9 a.m. Eastern time. Unless, of course, you just repeated the show. If it was something that was pre-recorded or you'd recorded a live broadcast, you could repeat it, but there's no way to broadcast things at the exact same time as if it's live, unfortunately. Sorry, excuse me. So, yeah, so you could schedule shows to start in different time zones if they were recorded or you just rescheduled them. But yeah, it either just goes out as one universal time zone. So if it was something at 9 a.m. UK time, it would also be broadcasting at the exact same time at 4 a.m. Eastern time, for example. Carlos, is there an option to have a white labeled version of the apps and the Alexa skill? Yes, but the software, no. The software is only available with our Radio.co branding on them as such. But like I said, anything that's listener facing will be white labeled, so there's no need to worry about that. Desmond, once I have copyright license, can I use Spotify and other services to upload playlists? You can use the likes of Spotify and Apple Music. However, they can only be used as part of a live broadcast. That's the only caveat to that. So you're free to use it as much as you like, but only when it's funneled through as a live feed. So a way of doing it is you've got a mixing desk, you've got a tablet or a phone plugged in that's got Spotify installed on it, maybe. You get your playlists and you hit play and it's going through live. So you would need someone to manually take charge of that as a live stream. It does require a permanent, uninterrupted internet connection, of course, to do that. But it is possible to do it that way. It's not possible to take tracks or playlists from Spotify and simply upload them to Radio.co. That's not possible. It needs to be specifically MP3 or AAC files to do that. Um, as well, it's kind of worth knowing Spotify don't really like you broadcasting their content. It does say in their terms that their content is not used for broadcasting senses, but so it's up to you whether you want to use something like that. But technically, it is possible to do it from here anyway. And then because I've gone viciously over time, I'll take one last question that has been asked here. This is a quick one. Neil has asked, can the web players show GIF images? No, they can't. And it's not actually a suggestion that people have asked before. So it's something I'll certainly put to the team and see if it's possible in the future. Right now, it's not, but I can certainly see if it's something that we could implement. In the future. So yeah, leave it with me, Neil. I will certainly find out for you. Actually, one last question. Here's one by the name South Union. Are there any stats available that would allow us to know what the average amount of listeners for a radio station? I'm very skeptical about the audience for online stations. Can we get this sort of data? Honestly, you can and you can't. So you can get things that show, like for example, here in the UK, we have a thing called Radar, which is a quarterly report, which basically shows you the audience figures and trends for a lot of the most popular stations, but there are categories for smaller, like DAB, and FM, and internet stations. So there are services like that. I believe they're all over the world. It's completely escapes me what the US one is called, for example. I'm sure someone on here will know. But there are things to know, like the growth of internet stations on there. Still potentially bigger ones rather than startup stations. But it's one thing to say that you shouldn't really obsess about what an ideal amount of listens that you want, because sure, you want to broadcast to as many people as possible, but you need to come to the direction to at least starting off with, you need to appeal, even if there's one person listening, you need to, entertain and broadcast for that one person. They've chosen to listen to you, and listeners can be quite fickle. They will fall in and out of love with your station. It's just what we do. But yeah, don't obsess about what an ideal number of listeners should be and whether you're getting there or not. Of course, after months or years of marketing, you don't really see an increase, then you can start maybe thinking about, well, what am I doing wrong, or what do I need to do now? But when you're starting off, what you need to do is you need to focus on your content and starting your promoting. It's going to take a lot of time to build this brand up. But yeah, if you stress and down yourself because you're worried that you're not broadcasting to a capacity that you really should be, it's not healthy for you and any listeners that do come. So I'd say be concerned about it down the line, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years down the line, maybe think about it. That information is available. Generally on the whole, internet radio is gaining more popularity year by year. FM has now reached the point where it's not getting any popular. It's not dipping. It's kind of like leveled out at the moment. Whilst internet radio is getting more and more popular due to how accessible it is, how easy it is to launch, and how cheap it is to run. That's the reason why internet radio has got a huge future ahead of it. And if you do launch with Radio.co, you're definitely going to be on that rise. I've probably not really answered your question there, but I hope it's kind of given you and anyone else still listening. Hopefully, I've been talking for a while. I hope it's given you a bit of insight into getting started. Anyway, but I'm going to leave it for there. I have talked for quite a bit. I hope I have answered, a justifiable amount of questions, and I hope ultimately you found this very, very helpful. I certainly have. Just making sure I know what I'm talking about, or at least like to think so. Thank you very much for joining me for the demonstration, the questions. If you have any questions I still haven't answered, because I know there is a lot coming through, please send them to studio@radio.co. I've run out of time today to go through any more, but please keep in contact, studio@radio.co. I will answer as many questions as I possibly can. They'll all come through to me. We'll be doing more things like this, like our marketing and audience webinar we're going to try and do next month. I know we've got one in the pipeline talking about like technical support. I'll do more ones like this. So, if you would rather leave your question for me to answer at a later date, you can. And if you just like a demo, like a demonstration with me, a one-on-one, similar to what we've done here, but maybe answering specific questions you have or showing you specific tools relevant to your project, then go to our website, Radio.co, and towards the top, you will see book a demo. And that'll be with me. I'll tell you what, see if I can share it very quickly. Just go to book a demo right at the top of the screen. I'm not sharing the right thing, but it just says book a demo right at the top. Click on that and follow that form, and you'll be able to book an appointment with me or a member of the team. And we will sit down, we'll chat for 30 minutes and talk about your plans and how we can help bring it together. So if you'd rather talk to me in person, book a demo. Go to the website, click on the book a demo link. Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much once again, everybody. It's been a pleasure as always. And if there's anything I can do to help, studio@radio.co is where you'll find me. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and happy broadcasting.
Starting a radio station has never been easier. Click here and I'll take you to a free guide which shows you exactly how you can start a radio station with minimal fuss, no technical headaches, plus also start getting those all-important listeners. How does that sound? Click here and I will take you to my free guide.